Okay. Sit back, buckle up, and brace yourselves. This is Chennai Live 104.8, India's first and only digital talk station. Let me tell you a story. Some would say it's an iconic story, some would say it's a musical story. Once upon a time, long ago, well, actually, to be precise, 34 years ago, in the year of 1990, started this wonderful wave on the Indian Ocean. A wave that got a new genre of Indian music. A wave that I think started a new trend for Indian music. To be a bit more precise, we're talking, of course, about Indian fusion rock. We're talking about Indian Ocean, and we always think about a couple of iconic songs and two iconic men as well. I'm extremely glad and honored to have with me one of the heroes of this classic story, this rocking story. Susmit Sen, welcome and welcome. How are you, sir?
Very fine. Thank you so much.
It is so good to see you back. I think it's a comeback of sorts, is what people are buzzing about. There is a song that you have recently released, which we're going to talk about. But today, sir, let us flash back. Let's rewind. Let's go back to the beginning. Shushmit and music, was that a love at first sound? And how did that connect even start that led to the 1990 extreme rage Indian Ocean? How did music and you get together, sir? You're a self-trained musician or an untrained musician, some would say. Tell me about
Well,
that.
yeah, one has to train oneself. How did it begin? Well, I started performing as a duo with Oshim in 1986. That was the first show. We started playing together even earlier than that, and then we got the first show that was in. Now it's an IIT, but it was a regional engineering college in Roorkee. So and then we played a couple of more shows. We were called back to Roorkee also the next year, and we realized that there's immense potential because it
Hmm.
was just guitar and tablas. Okay, and he had some other percussion instruments. He was not singing in those days.
Hmm.
Um, he was singing, but not on stage. So so it was accepted fantastically. Okay, the audiences were used to go absolutely crazy when they heard this completely new sound. So that's the time I realized that I have to make this particular band a bigger unit, rather than just two
Hmm.
of us. So I was searching for other people, and in those days, all the bands in India were playing covers. So a lot
Hmm.
of actually asked me to play lead for them, but there was a clause that I had for them that you either
Hmm.
play your music or my music. They all ran away because at that point of time, people did not have the guts to do their own music. So that was, and therefore it took quite some time to form the band. I found musicians um, who were the the drummer at that point of time was Shalin Sharma, who was there, one of the organizers in the first show in Roorkee. So when he passed out of college, I said, "Why don't you join me?" Because he had a band in college. So he readily agreed. And then there were three bass players at that point of time. There was Indrajit Dotto, there was Anirban Roy, and there was R.C. Joshi, who
Okay.
was playing bass for us. Oshim was obviously there, and that's how the band got formed. And in 1990, finally I could, beginning of 1990, I remember. So yes, that's how we
Name come up.
started.
This name is a very catchy name, Indian Ocean. It's an ocean of music. It's a pride for our country as well. But how did the name come up, Indian Ocean? Was it inspired by some incident? One night y'all thought of something? Because I like to understand the story behind everything that y'all do. Indian Ocean was in the heart and is in the heart of all of y'all. So tell me about the name, Indian Ocean.
Indian Ocean was named by my father since the band was formed in my house at that point of time, and we used to play the music there in the drawing room. And we were all searching for names. Lots of people were, dropping in different kinds of names, and my father just had to whisper, how about Indian Ocean? And we all thought that was the apt name for the band and the music that we played. So that's how it was named.
Well, of course, I think whispers can make a lot of noise, and that's exactly what your father's two-word whisper did for a very, very long time. If I was to tell you, give me a entire summary of 1990 to 2009, when Oshim unfortunately suddenly left us. Talk to me about those 19 years. What were the highs? Albums came out, awards were won, records were set. You all became iconic for a lot of people. You had your own following. Tell me about those 19 years. If you were to rewind, summarize, and relive them, what would that be like? What were the highlights?
Well, a lot of people might say that there was a lot of hard work. You know, for me at least, it was not hard work because it was passion. So when we used to practice day after day, year after year, it was a passion that took us through. Um, and initially, I had to hold on to the band members because I remember even Oshim when nothing was happening because it took us 10 years to, more than 10 years to be popular enough to get gigs all over the world and all over India. So there was a lot of frustration amongst the band members. Why isn't anything happening? First album came out in 2000, uh, 94. Then the second album was Genie. No, sorry, what am I saying? Second album came out in 97. That was Desert Train. It was a live album. All these albums were successes, but somehow we were not being able to play. In today's date, if you ask any band, which is just about 3 months old, they would tell you we played about 10 gigs already. Right.
Correct.
In the first 5 years, we had played just yeah, first 4 years we had played only 5 gigs. So, but the journey continued, and finally the Kandisa was released, and
Yeah.
Kandisa became well. Desert Rain also did very very well because the first particular album when it came out, uh, it did very well because it sold about 40 or 50,000 copies, sets in those days, and that was a huge number for any band to sell at that point of time. Then came Desert Rain, and when we went back to those, HMV had come out with the first album. When we went back to the company, they said, your first album was a fluke. Your next album will be a flop. So then I was working at that point of time with. In fact, I'd left um, working with HMV. But I remembered a dealer who was a friend of ours. So I went back to Naresh Patia, and he had a shop, wholesale shop in Palika Bazaar, I remember. And when I asked him, would you like to release this? He said that I don't even want to hear the music. I will form a company and release it because I sold their first album in many thousands.
Oh, wow.
Desert Train came out, and even though the new dealer or new company did not have too much of reach, it was not a big company, so it sold only in Delhi and surrounding areas, but that also sold in probably many lakhs. um, then finally the music companies were ready to speak to us.
Hmm. Hmm.
That happened through Times Music. And Times of India, their capability to advertise and things like that. We had half page ads on the front page of Times of India, which was huge. Uh,
Huge.
but Kandisa became very popular. People did
Yes.
not people did not know that it was Indian Ocean who had created that. That's because Times of India wanted to sell Kandisa and not Indian Ocean. So Kandisa used to be written in big fonts, and in a very small font, Indian Ocean was written at one corner. So for many years, when we used to play that, Kandisa, Mareva, and these kind of songs, people, oh, this is your song. We love it, but we did not know that who is the producer, who's the composer. So then, also, right after Kandisa, Indian Ocean was not getting as many shows. Then finally, in 2001, we went to England to perform, and that was at the Fringe Fest, where
Okay.
we became Fringe. Uh, and that's the time people turned around and to ask what is this phenomenon we must hear. So from there, it was an upward curve.
Fantastic. You say it so nicely. I get goosebumps. You know why, sir? Because I think patience was tested, passion broke all records, and perseverance was the key. I think that's what you all held together. Sometimes we need acknowledgement from the outside, but the drive from within was what kept your music going in more ways than one. So tell me, sir, I see within you a lot of contentment with what you did. You are very proud of what you did, especially with Desert Train and Kandisa and the others that followed. But somewhere down the line, do you believe you were too early for this game? Had Indian Ocean come out now, when music record labels, digital music, all over the place, streaming is happening, do you all think you were 20 years or 25 years too early in the game? And today, if Indian Ocean came out with that kind of passion that you all have, it would have been something else. Give me an honest answer, sir.
I wouldn't say that we would have been a success for sure at this point of time. I'll tell you why. When social media came up, Facebook, especially Facebook,
Yeah.
much later came Instagram. Um, uh, Started listening to music digitally. I was overjoyed. I can tell you this much because I realized that I can reach out to the masses much more easily, right? So a band which was formed, just today may be able to, they got popularity much faster. But then what happened? There was so much music that was showered in this social media and electronics and things like that right now I feel that people don't quite know what is good music because there's so much of trash. So that plethora of, I was about I think about a lakh and a half musical pieces or songs get released every day in today's day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who has the bandwidth to figure out which are the ones that will actually move them? And
Mm,
I take music as there are two kinds of music. One that you have to move to, and the other one that moves you.
lovely.
And
Well said.
today, people are listening to what they move to, what
Hmm.
they don't that moves you.
Very well said. If I may ask you a question, someone who understands music and someone who's delivered real music, not through just technology and sound effects, but actually someone who's from the grassroots level has actually understood what the pulse of the audience is. Tell me few songs or few musicians you think are actually doing a great job, but they're not getting recognized. And Mr. Susmit, who are those that are very well recognized, but you feel that maybe they are overhyped, they're overvalued?
I will talk about the first part of your question and avoid the next part, the second part. Uh, um, there is this girl called Dot. She's Aditi, who I have heard she used to make videos with just
Okay.
the piano. And, the her mobile was kept in front, and she used to sing. Or she does
Oh,
sing still. Amazing, I think amazing musician. She needs lot more recognition.
fantastic.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, I can't name too many musicians at this point of time, because because the trend has pushed them to make a lot of music a bit too fast, and
Hmm.
quality, the depth does not come out.
I can name one person who I think is very, very good today, who's making a comeback of sorts in a very, very different kind of love feel and atmosphere in a language that very few people compose in. His name is Susmit Sen, and his song is a Konkani song. Susmit Sen, sir, tell me about your latest song, inspired very interestingly and also connected with you very personally. Tell me about this comeback and why you think it's the right time to do it. And do you actually realize the pressure on you in today's time, trying to go viral, trying to reach a wider audience, trying to get the attention of a very distracted audience? Tell me about this, sir.
Okay. I moved to Goa about a year and a half back, and
Hmm.
I'm happiest person for after a long, long, long time, because the peace that has come to my life by shifting to Goa, and the people of Goa are extremely sweet. They have accepted me well. My drummer is a Goan, and therefore I wanted to give back to Goa something from my side, and therefore two of my numbers in this album, which has got four or it could be five numbers also. Two of them are in Konkani.
Hmm.
That's the language out
Hmm.
here in Goa. One is in Tamil because one of my band members, she is a Tamilian, although
Wow.
based in uh, Hyderabad. So she wrote the lyrics because when I composed the piece and gave it to her, it had a very haunting kind of a feeling. So that is in Tamil, and the fourth one is in Sanskrit.
Wow. Okay. Gone very
So,
ancient, gone very traditional. Wow. Very interesting.
and if I do come out with the fifth one, the fifth number, that will be an instrumental number.
Is it all your personal inspiration? Because I understand one song of yours in Konkani is giving back to the people of Goa. So, what inspires you, and what is it about Goa that is connected with you that you think is so different from the other parts of India? It gave you peace. What else?
Uh, it's not just peace. Goa, lovely beaches. I agree, but Goa is not just beaches. Goa is a lot about nature. Goa is a
Mm,
lot about paddy fields, dense forests, beautiful birds, a plethora of different kinds of animals. So Goa is an extremely beautiful place. So in fact, I find the Goa even more beautiful when I move away from the sea.
but when you go away, you realize what you're missing out on, and what you actually had or live in. Yeah. Okay, sir. So tell me a bit about this album. In terms, how important is this? Is this a song that you're just rekindling because of your passion, fondness, and immense talent in music, or are you actually thinking of a strategy that you get back in this era with what you used to dwell and expertise in? Are you making a comeback of sorts, or is this just my way of dabbling back and I don't know what's happening next? What is your mindset like and your music set like?
Can you rephrase the question, please, once again, please?
Sure. I want to know today, when you come out with these 4 or 5 songs, what is your mindset or your music set like? Is this just because you were missing the music and you have this talent, you want to give it back? Or is this a professionally thought of strategic release where Susmit Sen could make a comeback?
I have never believed in strategizing my music. Okay, so what comes from within, and that's what I do, right? And probably that's the reason people find a lot of depth in my music.
Yeah.
Uh, so uh, as far as being opportunistic and strategizing things, that's completely not there in my.
Hmm.
Uh, when I wanted to give back something to Goa, I do not know Konkani, right? So I had to find a person who would write the lyrics for me.
Hmm.
So the person who's written the lyrics is a person called Umesh Sardesai. His father was a very noted writer in Konkani. So he heard about me wanting to find a lyricist from a friend who had come for one of my gigs in Goa.
Hmm.
And out there, I had announced that I'm looking for writers.
Oh,
So then
okay.
he contacted me, and then I think he's written it beautifully. Whoever I have made the song, whoever has listened to the
Heard the
song
song. Yeah.
but once, they have loved it. Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm hoping that more of the
I,
girls will get love it.
I've heard it. I've heard it. Thankfully, to Song Due, I've heard it, and it's very, very hooky. You really get stuck to it. You get pulled into it. And the more you hear it, the more you start living it. I don't understand Konkani, but I know the pulse and the vibe it's carrying. Would I be too demanding in saying that? Why don't you give us a bit of a teaser with the voice that you have and the mood that you are in and the upbeat spirit that we all are in? Why don't you give us a bit of a teaser if I'm not too demanding?
You want me to sing?
Yeah, that's
I'm
that's a
not
nice.
going to venture into that at all. And therefore, I had to get a Konkani singer. That was, again, I did approach a few musicians in Goa, but they kind of shied away from it. I do not know why. I think Goa has loads of fabulous musicians, but the culture to compose their own music has not
Mm,
been there. Right.
okay.
So then a friend of mine who I've worked with earlier also, she's a very famous singer in Karnataka, and her
Mm,
name is MD Pallavi. She's an amazing singer. So she's sung the two Konkani songs. And
mm.
it so happens that she, till the age of 16, she had grown up in Goa.
Okay.
So she knew Konkani to some extent. But with the help of Umesh, who's written the lyrics, she has done a fabulous job, I would say. Yeah.
Mr. Susmit, of course, music sometimes has its melodies and sometimes music can be muted. Today, you are working with a completely new set of people. Your lyricist, your singers, your team, it's completely new. But there was a group of people you lived, learned, and rejoiced with. Um,
Out,
I,
out here, sorry, out here, not all of them are completely new. Gayatri, who's sung the next number which will come out, which is
huh.
called Maza. She's been working for with me for good more than 8 years.
Oh, okay.
Then Sudhir, who has sung the Sanskrit number,
Hmm.
I know him. He's the first person to come and bail us out when Oshim felt sick and finally died. Um, so I know him since 2009, and he has been in my
Wow.
band, and we've played together many shows. Yeah. So
And
these two people, but Carlos, I've been playing with for the last 1 year, a
yeah.
bit more than a year, because he's from Goa, wonderful person.
Hmm.
So Pallavi is again. I have worked with her earlier because I had given. I had done the instrumentation to a composition that she had made, and that happened during the pandemic. So I know her also for quite some time. Um, they're not completely new. The person who's actually new in this,
Yeah.
the person who's done percussion in two songs, he was also a part of Susmit Sen Chronicles. His name is Varun Gupta. The person
Hmm.
who's absolutely new, who I met because I was producing this thing, I have not produced it. The producer is somebody called Miti Adhikari. Now, Miti
Okay.
Adhikari is world famous personality. So he has done sound for Pink Floyd. He has produced Nirvana. He's produced Pearl Jam and many others. So he worked with BBC for the last 30 years. I mean, not last, but 33 years he was working with BBC. Now
Wow.
he's thinking, fortunate. And what a find that was.
What an amazing connect. I think you've not gone back to music. Music has come back to you. Correct. I think it's all amalgamated so beautifully. It is not that you went hunting for it. I think it just happened at the right time. For the sake of music, for the love from the people, I think it's happened again. Correct, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely. Not this that I had stopped making music. I while I was with Indian Ocean, I came out with the first album of mine called Depths of the Ocean. Then after leaving
We'd
Indian
like to
Ocean,
talk about that.
came out with
I want to get into that, Mr. Susmit Sen. If you can tell me in 2009, what changed? When music is seven notes and a band is a few people who live think for a greater cause. In 2009, the sudden demise. Tell me about that of Oshim, and also um, tell me about you deciding to go solo as well, and your farewell album, which you took part in 2013. You were a part of the farewell concert, sir. If you can just run us through that.
there were a few farewell concerts, but there was no album that came out in 2013, as far as I remember. The last album that came out while I was there was Sola Bata 330's Khajur Road, that came out in 2010.
10. Okay.
After
So tell me
October
about
the following year, but
yeah, and the
did
change.
to see it getting released. Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Tell me about the change in the in your mindset and in the band as well after 2009.
Uh, well, the band is, I think, still surviving because of the music that happened for pre 2009. Obviously, Oshim was the voice of the band, right? Because the in-depthness of the vocals came from his voice. Um, so things changed, but what I realized that probably Austin would have wanted the band to continue even after his death. So I my plans to leave Indian Ocean was actually I Oshim knew about the fact that I would leave eventually. Um, but when he died, something told me that I have to bring this back on to the road, back, rolling. Um, for people to see more of it. So I remember I got Himanshu Joshi also. I my suggestion was even before that Nikhil Rao, who's now playing guitar, he should be replacing me, and somehow I could get that particular the band um, back on the road.
Hmm.
Right. So then I continued with that. But yeah, Oshim's voice, that rawness, he was not a trained musician. But that rawness and that throw, that expression can never, can never. Unfortunately, I all respects to Himanshu for his singing. He is very, very skilled, but that effect cannot come back.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury. After Freddie Mercury, who came? Nobody. And nobody can. Right.
Is there a silent connect you still have with him today when you make your songs today, when you are on stage today? Would it be fair in saying that yes, he's not there, but in spirit, in your mind, in the way you're used to sing, it was a partnership of sorts, and very few will understand it, but you can feel it. Tell me, is there still a connect when you make a song, or you give? Do you think, what would he say? What would he react to it? How would he sing this part of it? What do you think of that?
Look, now the songs that I'm composing may not be, because when I used to compose songs and I used to give it to him, he would see it in his own way and song would develop. At this point of time, that cannot happen. But therefore, the three singers that I have worked with in this particular album, they in their own way bring their own rawness. Okay, although um, Pallavi, who sung this particular song, has learned Indian classical music, and she is very good at it. But she also sings Carnatic folk.
Okay.
And so when I told her and that I need the folksiness in this particular singing, she did it. Gayatri, you will hear the next stamens, absolutely singing vocals. She is also an extremely trained musician, extremely trained Carnatic classical vocalist. But she can switch from Carnatic classical to rock and even heavy metal at any given point of time. So she's there. Sudhir, I told you that he was the person who actually came
Yes.
and sang quite a you know for quite a few of our shows after Oshim felt taken. Um, so he also is trained in Indian classical music, but his folksiness is also fantastic, amazing, special. So yeah, I will never get Oshim back, but I think these people have really, really helped me to find myself
Stepped in.
again. My
So nice.
message to my audience is my music itself, I would say. So there is no separate message that I would give. But if you ask me to give a message to the youngsters or things like that, my message will be follow your heart and do not go by what the society has taught you.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
I wish you
Thank
all
you.
the
I wish you all the
Thank you so much. Again, I can't hear you. Maybe we can get on to a phone call after this.
thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.